Hi! Strategies are gaining momentum again. Developers are experimenting, mixing classic mechanics, and creating new formulas for managing armies and empires. Today's lineup features projects that reinterpret the genre in different ways. Some lean into nostalgia, some expand the scale, and others bring fresh ideas. Let's take a look at which new strategy games you should add to your wishlist. Let's start with Resilient. Throws players into an alternate 17th century devastated by a zombie apocalypse. This isn't a classic survival RTS, but an atmospheric and deep colony simulator where every resident is an individual and every decision shapes the fate of your settlement. During the day, you develop your homestead, laying roads, building farms, managing crafts, and creating laws that form your society's ideology. At night, you prepare for the siege. Zombies attack more aggressively each time, forcing you to use defensive lines, resources, and colonist traits wisely. Social conflicts, riots, supply shortages, random world events, and expeditions to rescue new survivors make every playthrough unique. Crimson Freedom is an old-school RTS focused on story and large-scale battles, where the economy is streamlined and the emphasis is on tactics, unit diversity, and strong faction identity. The game takes place on Mars in the 22nd century, where three ideologically opposed factions fight for control of the planet. Each faction drastically changes how you play, from aggressive swarm attacks to advanced technologies and strategic mobility. The main focus is the single-player campaign, featuring two large story arcs. Crimson Freedom aims to revive the classic RTS formula: smart base building, thoughtful army composition, and control over key resources, all wrapped in a modern interface with fast-paced combat. For anyone who misses true single-player strategies, this is one of the major releases of 2026. ZeroSpace is one of the most ambitious strategy games in years, creating a rare hybrid of RTS and story-driven RPG in the spirit of Mass Effect and Baldur's Gate. Instead of standard missions, the game offers a fully open world with 4 major factions, 6 mercenary factions, and 14 unique heroes, each with their own story, personal quest, and choices that affect the narrative. The campaign promises to be rich: over 3 hours of cutscenes, interactive dialogue with choices, non-linear side paths, and unique hero combinations. But ZeroSpace isn't just a single-player adventure. The developers are building a full ecosystem of modes: ranked battles, AI skirmishes, and a massive MMO mode where thousands of players shape the political map of the galaxy together. Dinolords is a unique genre experiment that blends tactical RTS with action RPG. The story takes place in medieval England, where dinosaurs were awakened after a mysterious discovery in the ice, and history took a completely different turn. You begin as the ruler of a small settlement and gradually turn it into a fortified state, constructing buildings, automating production, developing your economy, and preparing for raids. But the main highlight is the tactics. You don't just command your troops. You fight alongside them, lead assaults, and use dinosaurs as living weapons, from siege giants to fast predators. It's an unusual, vibrant, and spectacular RTS. And if the developers deliver on their promises, it may become one of the most original strategy games of 2026. IMMORTAL: Gates of Pyre is one of the most ambitious free-to-play RTS games in recent years, aiming to unite two audiences that rarely overlap: fans of classic strategy games and competitive MOBA players. You start with a base, gradually construct buildings, recruit an army, and head into battle, but the core idea is minimal routine micromanagement and maximum tactical decision-making. IMMORTAL offers a variety of modes: duels, team matches, co-op missions against AI, and single-player content. At launch, the plan includes 5 factions, 13 maps, and 8 co-op scenarios. If IMMORTAL meets expectations, it could become the new standard for modern competitive RTS games. Crown of Greed stands out in the strategy genre because you don't give direct orders to units. Heroes and subjects have their own will, emotions, and motivations, and your influence as a ruler is expressed not through clicks, but through treaties, contracts, taxes, and bribes. The campaign takes place in the fantasy land of Rodovia, offering dozens of missions, procedural elements, and encounters with heroes. In one battle, you repel an undead assault. In another, you maneuver through political intrigue between neighboring kingdoms. Each scenario affects the future of your realm and unlocks new challenges. Heroes obey only through contracts, and they simply won't agree if the payment is too low or the risk too high. Subjects, powered by their own AI, build farms, mills, and fields on their own and generate income through a tax system you control. Magic is another major tool, allowing you to support heroes, weaken enemies, protect buildings, and even shift the tide of battle. It's a rare strategy game where you truly feel like a ruler, not a commander of squads. Veil of Ashes is one of the most promising RTS games in a steampunk-inspired setting, where style, tactics, and destruction work together to create a grand vision of an alternate history. After a global fire in 1704, the world discovered a powerful new energy source, enabling gigantic steam machines to become the driving force of a new war. 2 centuries later, 3 great nations clash over resources, each offering a unique approach to combat. The game stands out with its distinctive Unreal Engine 5 visuals, detailed models, and destructible environments that affect tactics. Buildings and cover can be demolished to open new firing lines. Veil of Ashes supports single-player, a full campaign, emphasizing both strategic depth and cinematic combat. Front RTS brings back the classic RTS formula but with modern mechanics, fast pacing, and a harsh post-apocalyptic setting. The world has suffered multiple disasters and turned into a dusty wasteland. You manage bases, build fortifications, and create armies of infantry, vehicles, and aircraft. But the key feature is asymmetry and constant pressure from a superior enemy. You must command aggressively, build fast, react fast, counterattack fast. Even shooting depends on unit movement. The accuracy system adds realism and demands careful microcontrol. The environment also impacts battles. Sandstorms reduce visibility, destroyed vehicles become cover, and mutants and raider attacks can disrupt the flow of a match. Global Conflagration is a classic RTS designed as a spiritual successor to the best strategy games of the past, but with modern pacing and smooth controls. The game takes place in Europe, where different factions fight for control of resource points and territory. Tanks, helicopters, infantry, aircraft, everything is produced at your base to break the enemy's defenses and destroy their headquarters. Global Conflagration delivers clear, honest, classic gameplay with real military tech and fictional prototypes, along with a camouflage editor for units. It's an RTS that aims to bring back the battle atmosphere of old-school strategies, but with today's quality. Game of Thrones: War for Westeros is a premium RTS based on the iconic Game of Thrones series, letting players rewrite the history of Westeros. You'll encounter 4 factions: the Starks, Lannisters, Targaryens, and White Walkers, each with their own heroes, units, and playstyles. Infantry, cavalry, siege weapons, giants, and dragons will meet on the battlefield. The developers aim to capture the emotional unpredictability of the show, where trust is fragile and power always demands sacrifice. The game will feature a story campaign that lets you relive key events of later seasons or forge your own path to the throne, as well as multiplayer modes, including free-for-all battles. Fractured Alliance is an RTS aiming to bring back the classic atmosphere of Command and Conquer and Supreme Commander while making the genre more accessible. The story unfolds in an alternate reality where the Cold War dragged on for decades, and 3 factions struggle for global influence. Each side offers its own campaign, unique heroes, and different tactical approaches. One faction in particular stands out: the Collective, a fully automated army of swarm drones. They gather resources, attack, repair vehicles, and patrol territory entirely on their own, removing almost all micromanagement. It's the ideal choice for newcomers or players who want to focus on strategy and base building rather than juggling dozens of units. Veteran players can choose the Unified Federation, centered on advanced technology, or the Eastern Alliance, which relies on brute force, explosions, and heavy machinery. Calyx is an unusual real-time strategy game where the enemy isn't an army or a faction, but an aggressive alien vegetation spreading across the planet like a living organism. You are the last surviving crew member of the mining ship Avarice, dropped onto a world that seems barren, until the green and purple Calyx masses begin consuming the map. You build a base, deploy a power grid, extract ore, and send resources into orbit while maintaining the balance between economy and defense. Turrets, walls, tanks, artillery. Everything is used to hold back the plants, which evolve, grow, overtake new areas, and behave nothing like a traditional RTS army. Each type of Calyx follows its own rules, demanding unique tactics and constant adaptation. Calyx offers plenty of room for experimentation. You can build an almost impenetrable defense, play aggressively by burning infected zones, or find a balance between mobility and raw power. Systemic War is a large-scale modern strategy game combining global state management with real-time tactical battles. From 2008 to 2025, you must guide your chosen country through political crises, economic decisions, and armed conflicts. Every action on the global map can escalate into full-scale war, and every war turns into a real RTS battle with tanks, drones, and mechanized units. The game's standout feature is its deep economic model built on real macroeconomic principles. Interest rates, currency exchange, investments, infrastructure, and economic specialization all matter. When tensions peak, the game moves you to the battlefield, more than 25 locations based on real conflict zones. Each map has recognizable terrain and its own tactical challenges. Here you'll face modern warfare, drones, artillery, urban combat, and electronic warfare. And in global politics, hybrid methods like cyber attacks, information campaigns, and diplomatic pressure can shift the outcome just as effectively as military power. Battlestar Galactica: Scattered Hopes is a sci-fi strategy game with roguelite elements, where you must lead a refugee fleet through dangerous space while evading the pursuing Silence. The gameplay blends tactical real-time space battles with pausing and narrative decisions that directly affect the fleet's survival. Every encounter leaves a mark. Repairs, resource allocation, and risk assessment before the next jump are essential. Procedural events make each run unique. Sometimes you'll face an enemy fleet, other times a political dilemma or suspicion of a spy. The developers promise a mix of the show's tense atmosphere with thoughtful tactics, meaningful choices, and a constant sense of being hunted. Scattered Hopes is not just about commanding ships, it's about leading an entire people fighting to survive in the galaxy. Empire Eternal aims to bring back the scale many fans feel the RTS genre has lost. The game combines ideas from Empire Earth, Age of Empires, and Civilization, allowing you to guide humanity through 20 eras, from the Paleolithic and its primitive settlements to futuristic technologies and space-based military forces. Each era changes not only weapons and architecture, but also available strategies, turning progression into a constant race for superiority. On the battlefield, Empire Eternal remains a true classic RTS. Resource gathering, thoughtful building placement, smart control of territory, and battles on land, sea, air, and even in space. But on top of that, the developers have added political systems, economic models, different forms of government, and a massive tech tree. The single-player campaign lets you take on the roles of legendary commanders, while multiplayer puts your civilization to the test against other players. Falling Frontier is a sci-fi RTS that blends large, procedurally generated star systems with detailed logistics and tactical space combat. The story takes you to a star system where rival human factions have arrived, each trying to secure its foothold and claim control over the region. The game's defining feature is its realistic approach to space warfare. Resources must be transported, fleets supplied, and ships designed for specific roles. Battles unfold on massive maps where planets, orbits, and nebulae become tactical tools. Ships can hide behind celestial bodies, laser beams can ricochet off armor, and each hull has its own vulnerable points. The game is praised for its visuals and deep mechanics, ship customization, more than 20 vessel types, a realistic damage system, and advanced AI. Dawn of War 4 brings the series back to the classic RTS gameplay of the first game, with base building, resource gathering, and large armies clashing on the battlefield. Players can expect 4 full factions: the Bloodraven Space Marines, the Orcs, the Necrons, and, for the first time in the series, the Adeptus Mechanicus. Each one gets its own campaign, unique units, abilities, and signature style of warfare. The story unfolds on the planet Cronus, returning players to the events of Dark Crusade. The developers promise a branching narrative structure, choices, multiple endings, and around 40 minutes of cutscenes per faction. Legendary sync kill animations return, along with Last Stand mode, commander customization, and intense battles where each army plays in its own distinctive way. Orcs overwhelm with numbers, Space Marines dominate with raw power, Necrons rely on advanced tech, and Adeptus Mechanicus excels at reconnaissance and covert tactics. The game is being developed by the studio behind Iron Harvest. Sudden Strike 5 marks the return of the legendary World War II tactical series, and it's the largest entry to date. Players can expect 25 story missions across Europe and North Africa, more than 300 units, and dozens of infantry types, all wrapped in the spirit of true classic warfare. Every mission allows you to choose your own approach: conduct reconnaissance, sabotage enemy positions, encircle opponents, capture headquarters, supply depots, and railway hubs. Commanders play a key role. Each one has special abilities that can influence the outcome of a battle, improving artillery accuracy, strengthening defenses, or giving your forces a chance to maneuver. The camera is now more flexible, letting you observe the entire battlefield or zoom in on frontline skirmishes. Alongside the campaign, Sudden Strike 5 offers PvP, AI battles, multi-layered tactical scenarios, and an authentic wartime atmosphere. D.O.R.F is a true homage to the classic RTS era of the late 90s. Built on the OpenRA engine, it evokes the spirit of Dune 2000 and Command & Conquer without directly copying them. You get 3 factions, a grim techno-future, constant resource warfare, and that unmistakable old-school feel. Fast pacing, clean gameplay logic, and nothing unnecessary. The project is being developed hand-in-hand with the community. The team regularly holds polls, listens to feedback, adjusts balance quickly, and even chose the game's current title through a player vote. The First Explorers is a modern reimagining of the classic The Settlers, with a strong focus on a living economy, production chains, and peaceful, organic settlement growth. The game takes place in ancient Europe, where players choose one of 3 civilizations: Romans, Carthaginians, or Gauls. Each culture develops its own economy, infrastructure, and military, all fully visualized in detail on the screen. The core feature is a completely visualized economic system. Every resource, every product, and every worker physically exists in the world, moving along roads, farms, and workshops. You can literally see how your city operates, expands, strengthens, and eventually supports a large army for defense and conquest. Strategies are in a period of transformation. Old ideas are returning, new ones are actively being tested, and every project on today's list presents its own perspective on the genre. And that variety is exactly what makes the future of strategy games so exciting. It'll be fascinating to see where this path leads. The Image Game Channel was with you. Have a nice day.